Maria, good evening, and thanks so much. Now, we were hoping to, at some point, hopefully by now, have heard what was in that report and then look at that from a legal perspective. But as you heard, that's not going to happen anytime soon. But let's look at the issue that seems to be top of the list at the moment, and that's the media presence. Now, did the department make a mistake by actually inviting the media before consulting parents as to whether they wanted the media to be at this very important event?
I don't know that it was a mistake. Of course, this is a story that's been in the public interest since it happened in January. So the public is aware of it and wants to know what is going on and what has been discovered. But I do understand that the parents would feel quite sensitive about it and quite disturbed and want to hear about it first. So I think that their sensitivities have been taken into account and their wishes have been respected, and I think perhaps rightly so.
Well, you know, also just what we're hearing here, what we heard from Steve Mabona as well, what we heard from the family's lawyer earlier who spoke to Zikona saying it's harrowing. He said that there's some damning information here. You would also imagine that those whose fingers have been pointed at now in this report would have been hearing this for the first time on national television as well.
That may be so.
Yeah.
That's right. So that is quite a sensitive topic. But I do understand that we will have access to the report afterwards and the public will then be made aware as to what's in it.
So this is one investigation. This was commissioned by the Education Department. There is still the official police investigation, and we understand the family conducting its own probe. So what do you do in a case like this where you have three parallel probes happening? You have one report that has come out now. How do you navigate that? What do you do in the case of criminal charges having to be laid anywhere?
Right. So when it comes to criminal charges, it'll be for the state to move that forward. And what would normally happen is the police who are investigating would compile a report that they would then present to a magistrate in terms of the Inquest Act in order to determine whether this has been a death, an unnatural death, and whether somebody is to blame for it. The magistrate will then decide whether to hold an inquest or not, and it is at that point that the various issues are going to be navigated and explored in order to determine whether it's likely that somebody will be held liable criminally. If so, the magistrate will then put it forward to the public prosecutor to bring criminal charges. And in this case, because it was a negligent death, it will be charges of culpable homicide. And the public prosecutor will then take it forward in terms of bringing criminal charges against somebody.
So in this case, the Education Department commissioning this from another law firm, now being part of a law firm yourself, explain to us how this works, because they've done a forensic report. Yes. So what would their report include? I mean, we're not looking at, I don't know, does it include evidence gathering from the scene? Does it involve just only talking to people and doing interviews? How does that work? And what does this report actually count for in the long term?
Sure. Well, it would depend on the scope and the mandate that they were given. In all probability, it's a forensic report in order to try and come to the bottom of it, to gather evidence, to speak to people there and to minute their statements soon after the incident occurred, because we all know as time goes by, memories fade, and we don't always remember the details. So it's basically to secure all of that in the event that the matter is going to be taken forward either via criminal charges or via a civil action, the civil action will be up to the family to proceed with.
Would there be any requirement then for all of these three reports to be brought under one umbrella, one process? No, or they would all go their separate ways and institute separate processes?
I would think so. I mean, we've heard that the family wants to institute and to investigate on their own, which they're perfectly entitled to do. Whatever evidence they gather there may be privileged in the hands of their attorney. If their attorney gathers information, it may be privileged, and he can use that in order to bring a civil case against the MEC or against anybody else that may be involved. And in that case, the information that he would gather in terms of his investigation can be used as evidence during a civil trial. It can also be made available to the police. It can be made available to the department for any other probes that may be concluded.
And in your legal opinion, a report like this that the department has with the forensic report done by a law firm, is that enough? that process, would it be enough to take further a report like this?
Well, yes. In one way, yes, because they've gathered quite a lot of evidence, I understand. But having heard the interview earlier from the family's attorney, he said that there are things that they are missing, that it isn't complete. So they would obviously put that forward. What they have concluded is, in fact, they've come up with recommendations as to how the process should be carried forward. So those recommendations will be given to the Department of Education for them to take the matter forward. I think that there will still be more to do. If Mr. Levitt is correct that it's not a complete report, then further investigations must be conducted.
Okay, well, I suppose we'll know at some point this evening what is in that report. Thank you so much, Maria Philippides from Weber Wenzel.